Hello, wonderful partners. I so wish I could be there with you tonight, but COVID has struck again. However, I'm feeling okay. We're social distancing for this video. I have great medication, and I have an incredible team who's going to make tonight memorable for you. But I had to share a few things. First of all, we've had some incredible victories with the Texas heartbeat bill. As of September 1st, abortion is prohibited after a heartbeat is detected. I wish I could tell you all the details, but how is this for a victory? This bill is estimated to save 200 babies a day. Aren't you blessed to live in Texas? But the fight isn't over, not by a long shot. In fact, we've kind of shook the hornet's nest and they are mad. So we have to fight even harder and smarter. But we know that we're fighting with our God behind us. But I get ahead of myself because some of you might not know Real Options, and I want you to know the magnitude of services that we provide. Our mission is simple: to save lives on earth and for eternity. We provide all of these services absolutely free of charge, including sonograms, our 180 degrees abstinence program, and our abortion recovery groups. That's a lot of work, but the rewards are big. Our theme verse tonight is from Psalms 127, 3-4, and it reads, "Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from him. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth." And there's no better way to share heritage with you than to share the stories of our incredibly brave clients. I first want to introduce you to Alexis. Alexis came to us scared because she was pregnant and her mother was pressuring her to have an abortion because her mom was already taking care of 2 of Alexis's children. But Alexis came to us, heard the message that God was going to provide for her. So she chose life, and I want you to introduce you to beautiful daughter, Ivy Grace. She is now 7 months old, and Alexis has told us that Real Options has stepped in to be her family. She's also receiving ongoing counseling through our wonderful partnership with Myers Clinics. You know, it's beautiful to celebrate a woman who chooses life, but sometimes a woman believes the lies and chooses abortion. That's why we have our ROAR program. ROAR stands for Real Options Abortion Recovery. We rebranded a few years ago when the abortion industry started a social media campaign called #ShoutYourAbortion. They were trying to normalize the death of children. Well, they may shout about the sin, but we are going to roar about the redemption. And there is no one roaring louder than my friend Sharita. I want to tell you a little bit about her story. Sharita and her husband were in leadership at their church. During that time, Sharita began an affair with another man. They got pregnant, and in order to hide the sin, they had an abortion. However, the affair came to light. Her and the man, Jerome, went before the church and confessed their sin and asked for forgiveness. Well, Sharita's marriage ended in divorce. But years later, through God's redemption and forgiveness, Sharita and Jerome got married. However, they had never dealt with the abortion until Sharita found ROAR. She went through the 10-week Bible study and came out with the confidence that she was truly forgiven and set free, and she's now sharing that with others. I also want to introduce you to Sharika. Sharika already had 6 children, and she was terrified because during one of her pregnancies, she had severe postpartum, and in her last delivery, she actually coded on the table. Sharika was actually scared of dying if she continued this pregnancy. But we prayed with her and helped her to understand that God was with her and God would provide for all of her needs. He did just that through one of our partnerships with our church. We were able to throw her a baby shower and provide all of the things. We were able to connect her to One by One Ministries that provided a mentor for her. Sharika now says her mentor is one of her best friends. And here is baby Legend with his beaming older siblings. See, heritage doesn't just affect that baby, but the parents, the grandparents, and the siblings. And these amazing siblings would have lost their baby brother had it not been for Real Options. I love to talk about life stories, but there's nothing sweeter than introducing someone to the love of Jesus Christ. And now I want to tell you about Deanna. Deanna came to Real Options and met with one of our volunteers, Cindy. Cindy shared the gospel and Deanna rededicated her life to Christ. One day later, they were out having coffee and a pastor overheard them and came over. He was from Sent Church. He prayed with them and invited Deanna to church. she came and she joined. She went home to tell her son about it and invited him to church. He then joined her, heard the gospel, and he accepted Jesus. He then went home and pestered his best friend to come to church with him. Well, after a while, his best friend relented and came. He heard the gospel, and he too accepted Jesus as his Savior. Then months later, Cindy and our staff member Renata had the honor of seeing Deanna, her son, and her son's friend all baptized on the same day. Now, I know I could have listed our statistics earlier, but they mean so much more when names are attached to them. These numbers represent women like Sharika, Deanna, Alexis, and Sharita. Last year in 2020, we saw 587 clients. 51% of them changed their minds for life, which meant 147 babies were saved from abortion. 171 women received post-abortion counsel. Over 10,000 students were reached through our 180 program during 576 presentations. We were able to share the gospel 363 times and had 73 accept Jesus. Are you excited yet? You should be, because I have a big surprise. At the end of last year, I felt like the Lord gave me a vision for 2021, which was to expand outside our walls. Well, then he provided incredible donors that allowed us to raise money for a portable sonogram machine, and then our board in faith hired another sonographer. And then, months later, Pastor Dustin from Church 1132 came to us and shared their incredible vision of opening the Dallas Dream Center. This Dream Center would house a multitude of ministries that would impact the community of Oak Cliff, and they asked us to partner with them. So we are hoping to open another satellite of Real Options at the Dallas Dream Center. While we were there, we knew that the building would take a while, and I was looking out over the parking lot, and the Holy Spirit pricked my heart and said, if you had a mobile unit, you could start saving lives now. Well, the very next day, we found out another pregnancy center was selling their mobile unit. So I would like you to meet Zoe, which means life in Greek. I'm certain you saw her on your way in, but Zoe is completely outfitted to do all of our services. Life-affirming coaching in the front and sonos in the back, and we can even speak to the fathers outside under the canopy. And what did we need? A portable sonogram machine and trained nurses, which God had already provided. But this was still a huge investment, and we didn't know where the money was going to come from, but God was working on that too. Because Pastor Dustin and Church 1132 so saw the vision of Zoe, and not just to use her at the Dallas Dream Center, but to use her in underserved communities all over, that they gave us a gift of half of the unit cost. And then we had an amazing family who sacrificially had been saving in order to give a huge gift to the kingdom. They didn't even know about Zoe, but when I told them, they walked in, gave me a check, and that finished paying her off. So Zoe is completely paid for. We also needed a staff member to help with this initiative, and one of our amazing volunteers stepped up. Linda Haggard is actually donating all of her time in order to fill that position. And I also want to give a huge thanks to Mark at 22 Brands and Richard at PTG Extreme for helping us with the wrap of Zoe. Because of them, we are able to have a huge rolling billboard for life. But we also still need a few things. We need drivers with large vehicle experience. You don't have to have a CDL though. We need a mechanic for general maintenance. We need more medical volunteers to train in sonography. We also need more patient advocates to provide life-affirming coaching, and we do have a training coming up for that. We're also offering free tours of Zoe, so if you're interested in that or becoming a volunteer or any of these services, please see the tables at the back. I also want to come back to the battle that I was referring to in the beginning, because the Texas heartbeat bill was such a victory. The other side has gotten angry. And you might not be aware, but the first ever abortion clinic has opened in Collin County, and it is in our own backyard. It's in McKinney. And now, in response to the heartbeat bill, the McKinney Abortion Clinic and some of the Dallas abortion clinics are offering free abortions, and they're even offering to pay for women to go out of state for late-term abortions. Now, we're not afraid because our God has the victory, but we do have to be prepared. And we're going to do that in three ways. We're going to be prepared, we're going to be first, and we're going to be the best. We want to get our 180 Degrees team in front of more young people in order to reduce the number of unexpected pregnancies. This one is easy and free. If you know of a school or a church where they can present, please go to the 180 table. But we also want to be that woman's first call. If she needs help, we want her to find us instead of the abortion clinic. We plan on doing that by expanding our geofencing. Now, this is a complex thing, but I want to try to give you a bird's eye view. Think of this. We put a digital fence around the McKinney abortion clinic. When a woman walks through, her IP address is connected, and when she goes to an app in her phone or a browser, she starts seeing ads from Real Options. These ads say things like, "You do have options. You're not alone. Let us help you." She clicks on that ad and gets redirected to our phone number and calls. She then gets connected to our incredible Christy, who loves her and cares for her and invites her to come to Real Options. She gets up out of that seat, walks out the door, walks to her car, and goes to Real Options, walks through our doors into the life-saving message of Jesus. Has that happened? Yes, it has. It actually happened at the Plano Planned Parenthood, and we want it to happen in McKinney too. But we also want a geofence around schools and colleges, and the potential is endless. We also want to put Zoe in the same parking lot as the McKinney abortion clinic. We are in hopes that someone might know the owner so we can get permission. If you're able to help with that in any way, please stop by the Zoe table. All of these things will add up to about $56,000, which is on top of what we normally need to raise at our banquet. But God is already doing that as well. We have an incredibly generous couple who has issued a challenge. For anyone who gives $2,000 or more, it will be matched dollar for dollar up to $50,000, which means your gift will be doubled. And in addition, we have an even sweeter challenge. Whoever gives a $10,000 gift tonight, this donor will give $2 for every $1. So that $10,000 gift will turn into $30,000. The enemy may have changed their tactics, but we're changing too, and that does take extra funds. So I'm asking you to dig deep tonight, to be sacrificial tonight. Give like lives depend on it, because they do. But heritage is worth fighting for, and we're asking you to join that fight for us, because heritage is awaiting you.
My name is Nevaeh Watts. I'm 19 years old, and I was a senior when I found out I was pregnant. I was shocked, scared, and my mind was running like, how could this be? I'm a senior, I had plans, and I never thought it could happen. Am I ready for this? Am I ready to be mom? Like, do I have the strength to do this?
We were at the Townie Small, in the bathroom. She took the test, and she gave me the test, and I broke down and cried. It was very emotional, and I told she was emotional, and all I could do was hug her. I was a young mom. I got pregnant with Nevaeh when I was 19. I knew how hard that was, and I didn't want that for her. You know, also that moment, like, you're like, did I fail as a mom? But then it's also had to come back, like, life happens, and this is her path.
Coming to Real Options was the best experience. It was a real support for me.
It was a sounding board for me. It made me feel like, okay, I'm not completely losing my mind because it just gave me that educational point. I wanted her to know what all her options for she can make a better informed decision for her. I don't know what to do here. And I was like, God, please help me. And that's when he brought back up Real Options again. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make the call. In the beginning, abortion was the biggest option that was sitting there. And that was mainly because where she was mentally at, didn't know she was strong enough to be able to be the mother that I know she could be, but it's just like at the timing. It's always about timing sometimes. I haven't experienced an abortion. I don't know what that does just for your mental or for your emotional. And that's something that's real big for me, just making sure she's emotionally, mentally strong moving forward. So I wanted to know, will she come back from that?
The first option was abortion, but learning the risk of it, I couldn't, because I didn't want to revert back to my old self. Then I looked at for adoption.
We have to really go out to figure out what does that look like. Real Options help provide different, options for us that we looked at. And even though that option didn't all pan out because she chose to keep TJ, having the extra layer of Am I going to keep my child, not keep my child? That's extra level of stress. So to be able to have real options kind of help hold your hand through that process, it was just great. So when Nevaeh decided to keep her son, I actually had a feeling about this before she actually told us. Here was her body language. It was her body language and how she kept referring to baby T. And it was how she said it. It was like, I don't want to say ownership, but it's like the motherly, like, my child, this is my child. And I knew then, and so I was like, oh wow, we're about to do this. So I was very excited, but I was staying neutral, so I keep it low key. So when Nevaeh did come out and tell us in graduation, I said, okay, you're sure about this? And when she's like, yes, Mom, I was like, all right, about to have my grandboy, so I can really act the fool now. One thing I would also add is with Nevaeh's dad, I know he had a big impact because they had to talk about it.
When I told there was a slight chance I could be pregnant, he was very upset, and I was disappointed in myself because I was the oldest and tried to meet his expectations as a daughter. And when I told him I was pregnant, I felt like I let him down. And that was a burden I carried throughout my own pregnancy. But time changed, and when he said that he was going to support me, I just felt so much relief and no burdens on my shoulders, because that really means a lot to me, knowing my father would support me. But this little one, Tyson, it brought so much joy to my parents. I've never seen my mom nor my pops this happy before.
Tyson James Prince is just, words cannot describe how much we love him. When I saw him come out and just my whole world changed, I just stole my heart even further. I didn't know it can go. And then to see him with his grandpa, James, for the first time, and just his face, you just saw him just turn to a big old baby, like a big old teddy bear. It was just kind of like, he has you, doesn't he? He's just like, I cannot believe our life without him. I'm so glad she changed her mind.
Super me. Super baby.
All right, before I introduce our guest speaker, I just wanted to give you guys kind of an idea of who he is before I tell you who he is. He's a very special gentleman to one of our staff members. If you know Renatha is very, very proud of this next speaker. It's Renatha's brother. Renatha is our outreach and volunteer manager on staff at Real Options. And unfortunately, fortunately, she works very close with Jennifer. But it's unfortunate because of the close relationship and how much they work close together. She's also at home tonight quarantining. And it kind of breaks my heart for her because she so wanted to be here to introduce her brother, who she's very close to, very proud of. And I can see that relationship. There's a very strong bond there. She's talked about him, how special he is to her. You're about to hear from him. He was very instrumental even in introducing Renatha to her husband. So they have a great relationship, and I just wanted to say this on behalf of Renatha because she wanted to be here tonight for her brother, and we're thinking about her. So our guest speaker tonight is an acclaimed author, political commentator, father, husband, and brother. His number one passion in life is being a follower of Jesus Christ, and we are so honored to have him here tonight. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Vince Ellison.
Good afternoon. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, an adversary of Adolf Hitler in Germany, He said, silence in the face of evil is itself evil. He said, God will not hold us guiltless. To not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. President James A. Garfield said, a brave man looks the devil in the eye and he calls him a devil. Tonight, I want to thank you. I want to thank the executive director, Jennifer Shelton, the board of directors, and the volunteers. I am happy tonight to be in the midst of brothers and sisters who have not been cowed, who have not backed down, who've stared the devil in the eye, and who has refused to be silent in the presence of pure evil. Abortion is a grave sin. To try to make it illegal is laudable. But making it illegal is not enough. I am here tonight with you, and I'm sure that you will agree, that we want to make abortion unthinkable. What you have done here in Texas is amazing. You have followed the pillar of cloud by day. You followed the pillar of fire by night. You've crossed the Red Sea. You have done something utterly amazing. I was born on a cotton plantation in Haywood County, Tennessee. My father and my mother were sharecroppers at the time, and my father and mother worked hard and brought us out of poverty. My father made his living in insurance and brought us out of poverty into the middle class, and to show his graciousness to God, we started a family group called the Ellison Family. And he wrote a song. The song was, I wonder, is the Lord satisfied with me? It's a great song. If he was here, he'd sing it for you. It is a great question, isn't it? Matter of fact, it is the only question we should be concerned with. Well, I can sit here tonight and I can feel the presence of God, and I can tell you, and I believe he agrees with me, that tonight, when it comes down to real options, God is definitely satisfied with you. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for standing strong in the face of all of this evil. Thank you for fighting hard. Thank you for saving lives. It is the greatest gift you can give anyone is the gift of life. And you people today deserve to give yourselves a hand, so give yourselves a hand for what you've done. The theme tonight, heritage like arrows in the hand of a warrior. Isn't that amazing? I have my heritage. I have my wife, my children at home. I have my grandchildren. But also I have tonight, I have a part of my family here. My two sisters are here. Sylvia, Virginia, y'all stand up. My niece is here, Ashton. My brother-in-law is here, Byron, and his wife. Latoya, y'all stand up. Virginia is my ride or die. We share, me, her, and Marvin. I have 7 brothers and sisters. Marvin is the CEO of Lowe's department store. Yeah, that Lowe's. He gets about half of my paycheck every week. If he ever starts selling grocery, he'll get the other half. And see, if he starts selling grocery, I'm gonna need a percentage. Y'all remember, I've came up with it, okay? I need a percentage of that. I got witnesses. But Marvin and I and Virginia shared a 1-bedroom apartment in Memphis for about 2 years. Virginia had the bedroom, I had the couch, Marvin slept on the floor, and we had one car. It was the cheapest car made in the continental United States of America. It was a Chevy Chevette. And to add insult to injury, it was sky blue. One time it broke down, and for a month we couldn't afford a battery, so we clutched it. Y'all know about that in Texas, right? But we held together as a family. And now that Virginia's working in banking, Marvin is working CEO of Lowe's, I'm a best-selling author, we know that God got us through those situations, and family and heritage are the things that keep you close, keep you bonded. Sylvia is the head of the family, and this is why, because he's head of the band called the Sisters. That's Virginia, Renatha, and Sylvia. And so when the sisters speak, we all have to just obey. So I'll call my dad and say, Daddy, the sister been talking. Daddy's, oh no. But Sylvia is the reason why I'm up here today. She's the reason why Tim and Renatha got married. And let me tell you how it happened. 20 years ago, I was running for Congress in South Carolina. And I was running on the Republican ticket. Sylvia was talking to an old friend from high school, and he said, what's Vince doing? She said, Vince is in South Carolina, and he's running for Congress, and he's a Republican. And this guy said, you know what? I know a black Republican in South Carolina. It wasn't but two of us in the whole state. So his name is Timothy Lawless. We need to get them together. So Sylvia calls me. She said, Vince, there's a guy that worked on the Allen Keys campaign in South Carolina named Timothy Lawless. He can help you on your campaign. I said, give me his number. When I hung up the phone, my phone rang. Her friend had called Tim and told him about me. Tim called me. We met, had lunch that day. We've been friends ever since. Renatha came down about a week before the end of the campaign. Tim saw Renatha, and he was struck by a bolt of lightning. Bam! They've been married, and Tim told me a few years ago he was doing well in South Carolina. He was working for a nice, large, big church. Renatha was doing well. They had this nice, beautiful house, and Tim said, God told me to go to Texas. I said, he didn't tell you to go to Hawaii, Tim? He said, no, he said Texas. I said, if he told you to go, well, you go. We didn't know why. The family was confused, but we trusted God. And now look at what has happened. We know why he was sent to Texas now. He was sent to Texas to bring Renatha so Renatha could help you save lives. God bless you all. I woke up one day and I read the newspaper, and I read that America was dying. They said for the last 5 or 6 years that our birth rate was going down, and last year it really went down a lot. I read in CBS that our birth rate had fallen 19% since 2007. The nation is literally dying because we cannot reproduce itself. And what do our friends on the left do? Do they say, let's stop this abortion thing, let's put a halt to it? They said, full speed ahead. Let's expand it. Let's do more. I've said it before, I've said it again. This is a death cult. All they do is meditate on blood. And the more they can kill, the happier. We have to recognize who we are fighting, y'all. We no longer have a policy disagreement with these people. This is life and death. This is our country. Whether or not this great nation survives, if America falls, the world falls. And what you're doing here is one of the greatest things that's ever been done in the history of this country. The world is watching Texas. And as I watch these people flail about and scream and yell and talk about, oh my God, these people in Texas, oh, these, blah, 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 blah. It amazes me, their arguments. They say, well, if the woman is raped or if there's incest, she should be able to have the abortion. I asked the question, I said, well, are you saying that the children of rapists should be put to death? I mean, do you just go take all of his children and kill them just because he's a rapist? Then why kill that one? Their arguments are flawed. Their arguments are ridiculous. They talk about we believe in science. No, they don't. They say they believe in God. No, they don't. They believe in nothing but death. We need to understand who we're dealing with. And once you understand and define your adversary, then you can defeat him. You have defined him here in Texas, and I applaud you. The right to life should not be a partisan issue. We all have it. As a matter of fact, when Thomas Jefferson talked about our unalienable rights, life was one of them. And when John Locke defined what an unalienable right is, it was amazing when I finally read this. In the second treatise of government, Locke said that an unalienable right is a right that's given to you by God. He said it is irrevocable, non-transferable, it is unsellable. Did you hear it? You can't sell it, you can't give it away, you can't transfer it. It is yours, given to you by God, not by government. Government doesn't have a right to touch it. Nevertheless, we have people here that want to teach our children that while they're in their mother's womb, they're nothing. They say they believe in science. I don't have to tell y'all what life is. Of course it's alive. They know it. They don't care. You have a great governor here, Governor Abbott. I live in Virginia. Mine is less great. Ralph Northam. Y'all remember him, right? The guy in the blackface, Klan uniform. Well, they called old Ralph. They had a bill before the House, and they wanted to abort babies up until the 9th month, after the 9th month, while the child's being born. Ralph I think he was a pediatrician before he became governor. And they was asking him about it. And he said, yeah, what you do, you take the baby out and you make it comfortable. And if the mother wants to resuscitate it, you resuscitate it. And if she doesn't, you don't. And then we talk about what we're going to do. Yeah, he was actually talking about infanticide. And he was talking about crossing the street. So here in Texas, we got two bookends. You got Abbott on this side, Ralph Northam on this side. And I think that you guys have tilted the scale toward Texas. And keep on tilting it toward Texas, because Texas is going to win this thing. God is on your side, no doubt. You know, it's amazing that ever since I've been studying history, and the people that we are having this war with, there has never been a time in American history where they have not found a way to legally commit murder. Whether it was killing the slaves on the plantation, killing Americans during the Civil War, hanging and castrating black men during Jim Crow era, and now aborting children. They've always sought death. We have to speak to America about who they are. It doesn't have to be politics, it can be. But when Jesus talked to people, he didn't need the Roman Empire to help him out. He spoke to the heart. He changed the hearts of everyone that he talked to. And what did he talk about? He talked about love. How do we change them? You love them. It's amazing that we have men of the cloth that say they represent the Prince of Peace, walking and running down the streets hollering, no justice, no peace. And that these same men of the cloth support people that say they want to murder children in the womb. No justice, no peace. Yet Jesus says, I bring you peace. Peace that transcends all understanding. So how can you be screaming, no justice, no peace, when if you are really representing him, you're supposed to have peace already? He tells us, love them. No matter what they do, love them. In John 15:17, he said, this is my last commandment. It was not a suggestion, that you love one another. As I have loved you. If you love each other, if they do their job and teach us to love one another, everything else will be taken care of. We don't have to worry about any of it. But instead, they teach the other side. You know what the devil will do. And Jesus went down to the ghettos and went to the clubs to find people and turn them to him. Of course, the devil's going into the church. In many places, that's where he's made his monuments in the church. But we are smart enough to see it. We're smart enough to understand his wiles. We're smart enough to see what he's doing. And right now, you people here in Texas are the greatest threat to his dominion in the whole entire world. And don't you stop going. Get stronger, get harder, and kick him in his teeth. Jesus said, if anyone causes one of these little ones to sin, it's better that a millstone be tied around his neck and thrown into the sea. Well, I hope a lot of my pro-abortion friends can swim. Maybe not. You are the opposite to that. You are the counter to that. The information that you're giving, the information that you're providing to society, the information that you are putting out all over the world, change the minds and hearts of people everywhere. You're the counter to the hate. You're the counter to the blood and to the malice. They have to see the other side of death and its life. You're saving lives. When I think about my little sister Renatha, I'm 11 years older than she is. And when we look at the success that we've had family with my sisters in finance, my sister in retail. My brother Jonathan is the king of Beale Street in Memphis. Yes, that Beale Street. Best guitar player you ever heard. My other brother, Robert, is the king of Jackson with his guitar playing. When we look at the successes of our family and then we see what Renatha is doing, we all just have to say, Renatha, you're doing the good work, and we're here to support you in any way that we can. You are doing the good work. We're here to support you in any way I can. When she called me and said, Vince, could you come speak? I said, I'll do anything that I can, because this is the fight of our time. You know, people say, well, what do you know about this? You're standing up there and you're talking. You've never been pregnant. You've never had a child. You've never had this and you never had that. I say, you don't know my life. Of course I've been through it. I'll tell you about the last whooping my mama gave me. About 13 years ago, my daughter, Sky, she called me up and she said, she was 16 years old, she said, Dad. I said, what, baby? She said, she came to me and said, I'm pregnant. We had discussed what would happen if this happened. We always said abortion was not an option. So we thought about adoption because she's 16 years old. She still has a whole life ahead of her, and we know that this has the ability to really, really set her back. So we waited and we waited and we waited. And she hadn't hated me, but this was going to be her decision. She had to make up her mind what she wanted to do. So my wife and I, we waited. She had the baby, and she still hadn't decided. So we hadn't told anybody in the family about what had happened. Finally, she decided that she was going to keep the baby. And I said, okay. So now I got to call my father and my mother and tell them about what has happened. It was the hardest phone call I'd ever made, because I had to call my father and my mother and tell them that I had failed my daughter. So I picked up the phone and I called. And Mama answered the phone, and I told her, I said, Mama, she said, yeah, baby. I said, just want to tell you something. What? Don't get upset. She said, what, baby? I said, Sky has been pregnant and she has had herself a son. And my mother got into the Holy Spirit and started shouting on the phone. I looked at the phone. I said, did you hear what I said? She said, Lord, thank you, Jesus. She was just shouting. And my father was there. He said, what's going on? He said, here, take the phone. And Vince said, Sky just had a baby. And he gave Daddy the phone. And Dad said, Sky just had a baby. I said, yeah. He said, Lord, thank you. And they both started shouting in the house. I looked, I thought they lost their minds. I said, oh, this is a tragedy. This isn't. And so my daddy said, how's she doing? I said, she's fine. He said, how's the baby? He's fine. He said, well, thank goodness, boy, God, da, da, da. And so I heard my mother in the brown. He said, give me the phone. And Daddy gave it to her. And she said, Vince? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, I know you. And I said, you blaming yourself for Sky getting pregnant, aren't you? I said, yes, ma'am. And she had a pregnant pause there. And she said, do you still believe in God? I was kind of offended at the question. I said, ma'am? She said, do you still believe in God? I said, well, of course I do. She said, then don't you know that before God laid the foundations of this earth, she said, what is your grandson's name? I said, it's Aaron. She said, don't you know that before God laid the foundations of this earth, it was preordained that Aaron was going to be here, and that for you to think you could do anything about it is vanity. She said, your brother, I had a brother that passed away 20 years ago in a car accident at 39 years old. He left 4 small children under the age of 10 behind. She said, your brother, Bobo, died and never got a chance to see his grandchildren. She said, you have lived long enough to see your grandchild come into this world, and you acting a fool. She said, you praise God, and you celebrate the fact that your child is, that your grandson is in this world. You praise him. You talking about a Mississippi, Texas butt whooping. It was like a wham-a-bam-a slap. It completely changed my world view. And no matter how my children come into the world now, I don't care. I celebrate God. It is a celebration. It is a beautiful thing. Now I have myself a grandson named Aaron, who will be there when I get old, who I love, who I cannot imagine this world without, who I would give my life for. God knows these things. He knows what's right. We don't know. There's this great story that I heard about this man a long time ago in the Middle East. He had a horse, and his horse escaped. His neighbor came up to him and said, wow, man, your horse escaped. That's bad news. The man said, what do I know about these things? Well, 2 days later, the horse came back, and he came back with 25 wild horses. Put them in the corral. The neighbor came back and said, oh, man, the horse came back. 25 new horses. That's good luck. Man said, what do I know about these things? While the man's son was out there with the horses, one of the horses kicked, broke his son's leg. Man, neighbor comes back and says, oh, I heard your son got his leg broken by one of the horses. Wow, that's bad luck. Older man said, what do I know about these things? Next day, a group of brigands came to try to get the boys to go fight in war with them. But since his son's leg was broken, they couldn't take him. Neighbor comes and says, it's good the horse broke your son's leg, huh? That the brigands didn't take him. The man says, what do I know about these things? What do we know about these things? This is God's business. What did God know? What do we know? God takes Peter, an illiterate fisherman, and he changes the world. He takes a mass murderer, Paul, knocks him off the horse. He changes the world. He takes a splitter from the woods of Kentucky and Illinois, and he emancipates the slaves. He takes a little black girl from Tennessee and brings her right down here to Texas, and she's saving lives. What do we know? He orders us to do one thing. He orders us to love. He said, love will take care of all of it. He said, love is not envious. Love is kind. Love is not boastful. Love keeps no records of wrongs. He said, love never, 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 never fails. We are commanded to love one another. There isn't any option here. Even those people who are right now, as they standing here awake, they are planning to murder children. We have to love them. And when we deal with them in love. This is how we defeat this. We defeat it with love. What do we know about these things? He gave us the method. He told us how to do it. This is what we do. We fight it with love. So you people stand up and you stand strong. No matter how hard it gets, you stand. No matter who comes up against you, you stand. No matter who slaps you or fights you or knocks you down, you stand back up. Because what do we know about these things? No matter who comes at you, no matter how many lawsuits, no matter how many brigands, no matter how many mean, dirty, low-down, rich people they come at you, you stand. Because what do we know about these things? God is in charge. God is in control. He has commanded us to love. So that's what you do. And I feel the love in this room tonight, and God knows I love all of you. So, who has stood before you tonight? You've seen them, child of God, an heir of Jesus Christ, a citizen of the United States of America, and a free man. A free man. And I stand here with you tonight, pleased to be in the room with warriors that I know will fight to the end. And I tell you, brothers and sisters, I'm going to be fighting with you. Good night to you. My name is Vince Ellison. I love you all. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you. You're going to make me move to Texas.
Hi. First, I'd like to thank, on behalf of all of us here, our Banquet Chairman Nancy Crane and her committee and everybody that helped set up today. If you were a part of that committee or setting up, could you stand so we could recognize you, please? Thank you to Nancy Crane and her friends.
Vince Ellison, thank you so much for your powerful words tonight. Boy, did he put the ball on the tee. For over 30 years, Real Options has given hope and loving support to scared young women and their families who are faced with a crisis pregnancy event in their lives. Through powerful prayer and caring and encouraging support, the staff and volunteers of Real Options have turned turmoil into joy. Where there was little hope and great uncertainty coming through our front door, God has used this ministry in a powerful way to create families for the unborn. Along the way, the gospel has become real in so many lives, and children have been given the chance to thrive in loving homes. This is the work that drew Linda and me to Real Options as volunteers.
Our support of this ministry at the Life Champion level has allowed us the privilege of extending our reach and helping build God's kingdom and participate as Jesus commanded in Matthew 9:14 to bring the little children unto me. Linda has taken volunteer training that has allowed her to see firsthand our incredible staff and the work that they do in troubled lives. I've had the high privilege to use my experience as a 39-year not-for-profit executive to work with staff on development, operational, and governance issues that serve to build and grow this ministry into a major force for God's purpose in our community and beyond. I've heard it said that a man never stands so tall as when he bends down to take a child's hand to show him the way. Our support of Real Options allows us to stand tall for the gospel while bowing symbolically to take the hands of so many children as their mothers choose life for their child. Tonight I have the unique and humbling responsibility to ask each of you to prayerfully consider making an impact for life by choosing to support the invaluable work of Real Options. As I shared, Linda and I, retired school teacher and nonprofit executive, have made the decision to be life champions at $2,235 a year. We choose to pay our commitment monthly. In our family budget, Real Options and our church are our priorities. Some of you have been blessed where you might be able to consider more, and some perhaps less, but whatever you choose to give tonight, whether it's ongoing support or a one-time gift, whether you've reviewed the volunteer opportunities and chose to become actively engaged in God's work through this ministry, please know that you count and truly make a difference. Some of you may decide that holding the hands of young women who come to Real Options is something that you'd like to do. Some of you may have business skills that could be valuable in helping Real Options through in-kind gifts, advertising, marketing, communications, or other business services and support. All are valuable and all are so deeply appreciated. If your company has a matching gifts program, please consider using this benefit to help support Real Options. I want to remind you about the very special challenge gift Jennifer announced earlier. This generous couple will match dollar for dollar any gift over $2,000 and will give $2 for every dollar for the person who gives $10,000 tonight, which adds up to $50,000 in matching gifts. How incredible. Giving to Real Options is easy. You can text to give at the number on the slide, or you can use the QR code on the table next to the number of your table, or complete the giving envelope that each of you have received that's on your table right now. In a world filled with uncertainty and challenge to God's design every day, we have the opportunity tonight to say our family chooses to support life. Please review the gifting card, make your decision on what level of support is right for you, and perhaps what part of the ministry you might be called on to serve in. Ask for God's direction as you fill out your card. There are lots of staff and volunteers here tonight who can help you with any questions you might have. I'd like to challenge all of us to listen to the still and reassuring voice of the Holy Spirit and make your decision to become a part of the Real Options family if you are so led. We will give you some time now to fill out your card. Table hosts, please stand by to help your guests and collect the cards. Now let's watch our magnificent God move tonight as he stirs our hearts and through each of us causes this ministry to extend its reach to help more families, save more lives, and turn more hearts to him. Thank you.
All right, guys, we want to thank you for coming tonight. Please be sure to turn your giving cards in to your table host before you leave.
And don't forget the centerpieces are available for $20. You will find an envelope on your table where you can leave cash or a check. If you would like to use your credit card, you can use the QR code on the table, the text to give number, or add the amount to your response card, whatever is easiest for you. And make sure to take it home with you. Don't forget it and leave it here. Also, please make sure that you grab your Real Options wooden cell phone stand as a thank you gift for coming tonight.
The QR codes do work on the screens, by the way. I tested it, okay, so it does work on the screens. In the reception area in the back, you'll find information tables about all the Real Options services and how you can get involved.
On your way out to your car, please be sure to stop by the new Real Options mobile unit, Zoe. You will be able to tour the unit and get more information about her.
Our speaker, Vince Ellison, will be at the back as well and would love to visit with you on your way out. And now to close out the night, Pastor Steve will send us out with a prayer over our evening. And thank you guys again for coming tonight.
I want us to pray. Before we do that, I do want to reiterate that this is a war, it's a battle, and it's not a battle of flesh and blood. It's a battle of principalities. It's demonic. And we are to war against this. One of the things that we always try to say is, you want a war, and you want to deal with the practical and the spiritual. You don't want to just do practical things, but you don't want to just do spiritual things. You want to do the spiritual and the practical. And there's been a call tonight for each one of us to get involved and get engaged in the practical and in the spiritual. In just a moment, I want to pray, and I want to specifically pray for the protection of this organization. I want to pray for the gift that has been given tonight and committed to tonight. I want to also pray for the giver. I'm so reminded, the Bible does say, as we give, it will be given back to us. And there's nothing wrong, as a matter of fact, you think about it, every farmer who sows expects a return. I always ask the Lord, you know what the greatest return for us, for me, my family, our ministry, you know what that is. Will you bring forth that? And God never, ever, ever ceases to fail. He never ceases to amaze me of how creative He is to be able to give back. And much of the blessings that I'm walking in today with my family, I really believe it's from sowing good seed and good soil. There's not better soil to sow into than a ministry that sows into life. A ministry that sees young women and men and shares the gospel and sees them saved. And so I want to encourage you to do the practical. Volunteer, serve, give. I promise you, whatever it is that the Lord is laying upon your heart, I can double dog guarantee you right now that in a year, even though it might be a stretch now, in a year you'll come back and you'll say, I'm so glad that we gave that. I'm so glad. And then in the spiritual, let's commit to praying for this organization and organizations like this. For men and women in politics that are leading the way as well. For our men and women in the pulpit preaching. And let's pray for people just like Jennifer and this Real Options organization and their team. Will you join with me in prayer as we close the evening out? It's been an awesome evening. I know that you've enjoyed it. You're inspired. I'm inspired. Now let's go ahead and thank the Lord and ask the Lord for these things. Father, we come to you now, and we thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Thank you for the word that has been shared today. Lord, the encouragement, the inspiration that we've experienced. Oh, God, we thank you, Lord, for the gift of life. Lord, you formed man out of dust and you breathed life into him. You gathered your disciples after you were raised from the dead, and you breathed upon them and said, receive ye the Holy Spirit. We understand the spirit of this world is always about taking breath from people. But you are the giver of life. You are the one who breathes into our nostrils. Lord, we are made in your image and we thank you. Father, I specifically pray right now for each person, each family who has given and who's committed to give this year. Father, I pray in Jesus' name that you would bless the gift that they're giving. Lord, did you multiply that gift, Lord? Lord, supernaturally use our gifts together to bring forth a greater outcome than we could ever imagine. But Father, I pray for those tonight, each one of us as we give. Lord, I pray as we give, Lord, that you would in turn give back to your children. Lord, we know you're a good God. You're a good Father. You want to give good gifts to your children. I pray in the name of Jesus as we sacrifice, as we sow into this good soil, Lord, we thank you in Jesus' name in advance for the gifts that you'll give back. The gifts of health, the gifts of children, the gifts of peace, Lord, the gifts financially as well. Lord, every aspect, you know what those gifts need to be. Lord, we ask that you would bring it back, bring it forth. Father, we pray. I'm going to ask all of us right now just to focus right now. Lord, we pray for this organization. We pray for Jennifer and Rich. We pray for the entire staff. We pray for the board. Father, we pray for our volunteers. And we plead the blood of Jesus over them right now. We understand the hornet's nest has been struck. But Lord, we declare no weapon formed against them will prosper. We declare no evil will befall them, nor will any plague enter this dwelling place. We declare in Jesus' name that you'll never leave us, you'll never forsake us. Father, I thank you that you put a hedge of protection about this organization. Lord, you put a hedge, you put angels, Lord, guardian angels to guard. Father, we pray from the north, south, east, and west, you would bring those, Lord, that are abortion-minded. Lord, would you bring them, Lord, into the office, into Zoe. And Lord, would you, through the marketing arm of your Holy Spirit, Lord, bring forth these ladies, these young women, Lord. They would be able to choose life and understand the real options that they have. So, Father, we thank you for this evening, the blessing that we can meet here today to celebrate you, to celebrate what you've done. And we just declare that children are a blessing from you. And we thank you. And it's in Jesus' precious name we all pray. Amen and amen. God bless you. Have an awesome, awesome evening. Hug someone's neck, say hello to them, and we'll see you soon.
And I just have one quick announcement. Just online, I just got word, we have already raised $42,000. So thank you guys again. Y'all have a good night.
Wow, what an incredible and phenomenal evening hearing about life and heritage.
As you heard tonight, there's so many opportunities to see even more lives saved. And I was blown away with the gift challenge. If you would like to partner with Real Options, please click on over to www.friendsofro.com/donate-1. Again, that is www.friendsofro.com/donate-1.
And some of you might have been inspired to be the hands and feet of Jesus through volunteering. There are so many areas, including being on the ground floor with our new mobile unit. If you would like more information about these opportunities and dates for the upcoming training, go to friendsofro.com/volunteer and fill out the volunteer interest form. You can find all the links in the description below.
Thank you again for joining us this evening. Lives will be saved on earth and for eternity because of your generosity and willingness to serve.
Yeah. Have a great night.